You get 3 rolls on this dice tower. Each number corresponds to a random question I have, and that is where we will begin.
I'm going in.
Let's say it.
All right.
Number 2, my favorite question to start. This one is Scream. What's your favorite scary movie?
Oh, of all time?
Sure.
I love scary movies.
That makes me so happy to hear.
Oh, goodness. But I don't like gore porn.
Yes.
You know, I don't like, let me see.
You can name more than one if you want to.
Okay.
I could talk about horror all day long.
Love The Exorcist. The music just like gets you every time. And anything with like demonic possession will screw me up for a very long time.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I like to be scared.
Yeah, so do I.
But I do definitely get creeped out if I'm home alone.
Okay.
Love The Ring. My husband, Travis, terrified of The Ring Girl, which is always a joy to have something like that.
I'm trying to remember now which piece you all moved on our board. Wait, were you the end? No, you weren't the end.
We
you
were
right.
second to last. Yeah, we were second to last.
So you either chose Pennywise or Freddy Krueger?
Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Freddy ultimately won.
Good.
Which I respect that.
I used to have nightmares about Freddy Krueger. And that's a terrifying thing to have nightmares about Freddy Krueger.
As we all should.
Yeah.
As we all should. I love Freddy. I love Pennywise. Ghostface is number 1.
Ooh, yeah, the Scream franchise is so good. I mean,
this question is on the Dicey Questions lineup every single time, so obviously.
It really did.
Such a special gem. I love it. All right. Second roll.
Oh, I always like Cabin in the Woods.
Ooh,
it's such a fun one. Yeah.
Very clever.
Yes.
Number 4, game show. If you could be on the game show of your choice, what show would you pick and could you actually win it?
Oh, I would be terrible at all game shows. Ninja Warrior. I would be terrible at it. Absolutely terrible at it, but I just want a chance to run it. I would fall on the first obstacle.
I want to do it so badly, but of all of the physical game shows, that seems to be the one that demands the most upper body strength.
Yes.
Which I have none.
And it would destroy, like, if you got injured on it, it would mess you up forever.
One would think.
Yeah.
But don't you fall in, like, water or something?
You do, but you could totally bend yourself in half on those big bouncy balls. Yeah.
I need more, like the guts version of American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah.
That's a little more my speed. All right, one more roll, and then we will move on to the meat of the interview. 7. Oh, this is a little bit of a
I was
meaty
also
acting
thinking
one.
of the big bouncy balls on Wipeout. And they don't have that on Ninja Warriors.
that looks dangerous to me.
Yeah, no, those
like the
ones
way
are
it
the
like
ones that destroy
flips your
you.
body around too. I don't know
Yeah.
about that. I also have like no balance, so why would I ever want to do something like that?
I've been trying to increase my balance.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I've been doing Pilates.
Hey, okay.
I started that like 6 months ago, and I feel like it's helped balance a lot. Yeah, and then I suck at yoga. I can't do yoga.
Why can't you do yoga?
Because you have to stand on one foot
Oh.
too often.
I can't do yoga because I don't have the patience for yoga, which does somewhat cross over to Pilates. Like, I need to be like, go, go, go.
Yeah, no, it's slow. It's slow.
It gives me an opportunity for my brain to spin out of control. I will do yoga if it's puppy yoga. That's like my entire TikTok feed right now. And I'm like, what?
Puppy yoga?
Yeah, but I can't. It's a whole account that posts videos from puppy yoga, but I'm like, where is the actual place to go to do it?
I know there's goat yoga.
Goat yoga? I would do goat yoga also.
I heard it's painful, though, because they actually jump on your back.
I mean, pain via cute animals? Fine. I'll take it.
Yeah.
We know what I'm going to be looking up right after we wrap today. Wait, what'd you get? 7. You got a 7. Oh, I love this question. This one is favorite, least favorite. This is like a meaty acting question.
Okay.
What is your absolute favorite part of the voice acting process? Like, jumping into a character for the first time, meeting the people you're going to work with. But then I also want to know what is not necessarily your least favorite part of the process, just a particular part of it that you still see room to grow for yourself.
Oh, gosh. I think my favorite part, in voice acting in particular, is just so wonderful because you're not stuck with your appearance. So you can, number one, keep voicing acting as long as you have a voice, you know, and lots of people in this industry continue well into their 80s doing it, which is so cool. But also just like you're not typecast in the same way. You can play a wide range of characters. I also really love performance capture. it's voice acting, but extra, it's entire body movement and facial performance. And it's so freeing in a way that being on camera isn't, because you're not surrounded by cameras in the same way. I mean, you have this big helmet rig on, which is weird, but you get to play in a big space. So it's almost like this combination of theater and film work and voice acting. It's just a really awesome amalgam. And then stuff to work on. I think I'm getting better about it, but looking at critiques or like just the online response to things, I think it's very easy to fall into this trap of like seeing if people appreciate or enjoy your work. And I mean, it's always good to do a performance that people enjoy, but also the internet can be a very harsh place to get stuck in.
About.
Yeah, right.
It's great.
So it can be distracting or destroying to rely only on that kind of feedback.
I will spin that into a positive before we roll into the meat of our interview. Can you tell me a particular reaction you have seen to the first episodes of the Mighty Nein that are now available that, I don't know, maybe delighted you in a way that surprised you?
I'm just thrilled with the response so far. I saw that it's still 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is pretty great. We worked so hard on it, and it's been our heart and soul for so many years now. And just to see that the fan response has been good. I was worried with the amount of changes that were happening to the story and the change to the structure of the story, really. But so far, it seems like everybody enjoys it and is getting to see new aspects of the characters and new aspects of the story, and they're liking that.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back for a new edition of Collider Ladies Night. Laura Bailey in the studio.
Hello.
I have been so eager to get someone from Critical Role in here for a long-form conversation, because I think I said something to this effect to all of you at Comic-Con. Like, you're all just like oozing with a really unique form of creativity that it just like excites me, and I'm only first stepping into your world. So to see what you all do and how people react to the material you make, it's really something special.
Yeah, we've been blown away from the get-go. Every single moment.
I got a lot of questions about the get-go, because the other fascinating thing about what you do is like you're all carving like a one-of-a-kind path in this industry. Like, it feels like it's something that's never quite been done before.
I mean, we're very lucky to have started in voice acting and been able to cultivate what we've done now. And it's such a special thing to get to create your own world, to create your own characters and have control over them.
What is, I don't know, the movie you saw, the performance you saw, personal experience you had, whatever it may be, that first made you say to yourself, I have to be an actor?
Oh, man. I have two. So the first, this is cheesy, and I've said it before, but listen, when I was in high school, I didn't know that you could be an actor as a profession. It hadn't registered with me that could happen. And I saw an interview, and I never even watched the show, but I saw an interview with Katie Holmes talking about Dawson's Creek, and she was like my age. She was in high school, and she was talking about how she had been doing this play at her school, and she almost said no to Dawson's Creek because everybody at her school was relying on her. And it was this realization that, actors are actual people that come from similar walks of life as me, and I could actually pursue this. And literally saw the interview and then called my mom, and I'm like, I want to be an actor. I need to get an agent. I need to figure out how to make this happen. And she's like, that's not viable. I'm like, no, but it is. This girl is from a small town too. It can happen. It can really happen. And I went to school the next day and told my theater teacher, I want to be an actor as a profession. I want to do this. And she helped me. She, told me how to go about doing it. And it wasn't until college that I actually got an agent, but I went to college for theater because of that.
That was one thing that I was reading about. Originally, you wanted to be a biologist. So when did that switch from maybe wanting to study a science in college to committing to studying acting and then maybe going beyond that?
When I realized that acting was a career that I could pursue, then I focused on that and I pursued it.
Was it a specific kind of acting that you were studying?
I was in theater, so I went to school for that, and didn't even realize voice acting was possible. Again, I was in a play, and one of the people that came to see the show was in Dragon Ball Z, and they asked if I would come and audition because they had some new parts coming up, and so I did, and then ended up starting with Funimation on that and kept going. But even through that, even when I was working on all of those animes and video games at the time, it's still, I don't know, I was young, I was like 18 when I started. I didn't realize that was the path. I still thought like, oh, film and television, that's where I should go. That's where like the actual work is. It was stupid.
Not necessarily.
I mean, it is. It is work. There is work there, but voice acting is such an amazing industry as well. And I didn't see the scope of it until I came out to California, because when I was in Texas working on cartoons, it was one studio that I worked at, and I would go there almost every single day and record, and it was family, it was very, very comfortable. And coming out to California and working here, it was all of the studios all over town, and nobody knew me, and so suddenly it was very hard again, which always increases my desire for something when it's very difficult to get.
Ooh, what a good quality to have in this business. That's why you're where you are now.
That's what I started doing.
I have so many follow-up questions. First, going back to the whole Dawson's Creek thing.
Yes.
So because you saw that interview, but you had never seen the show, it was making me wonder, when you pictured yourself like growing up and becoming a professional actor, like what role did you picture yourself in? Was there a favorite movie or show that made you think, like, when I get to Hollywood, I'm going to do that?
I'm going to try doing that. I think I saw, Natalie Portman's career and, other girls that were my age at the time. And, I just wanted to act. I didn't care what kind of role it was going to be. I wanted to be something other than myself. Not to say I didn't like who I was, but it's really fun to get to be somebody else. And I usually am a pretty neutral person emotionally. Like, I don't have a ton of blow-ups or emotional. I keep it pretty even. So with acting, to get to really explore those peaks and those valleys is exciting.
I totally get that. So then the next follow-up question that had come to mind, because you said when you wanted to become an actor and told your parents, they were like, that's not possible.
That's not a career. What are you doing?
I feel like it's easier for someone to wrap their head around someone saying, I want to be an actor, than necessarily saying, I want to be a voice actor. So what were your parents' reactions when you started going down that path? Did they have any sense of what that line of work in this industry was?
I got that audition for Funimation, and I was still living at home, and it was like 45 minutes to an hour away from my house, the studio, which here in LA, that's nothing, but in Dallas, that's like, that's a long drive. And I was still in college. And so to even audition for Funimation, I was missing classes. And so I had to, once I got booked, I was missing more classes to go do the sessions, because they only record really during work hours, and that's when your classes are. So my mom was like, you need to stop this voice acting thing. You got to focus on your school. And then after I missed a recording session because I had like a college, I don't remember, maybe a test or maybe it was a conference I had to do, I can't remember. I got a phone call from the head of Funimation at the time, and he was like, hey, I know you are young, and I know you're probably doing a lot of other things, but this is a job, and you can't just miss it because you have school. You have to commit. Once you have a session, you have to be here for that session. And then I was like, oh, you're right. I can't just avoid it. So I had to commit. And once I started doing more voice acting, my mom realized, like, oh, this is a job and there is money in voice acting. Like, you can pay bills through it. And then she was like, Laura, you should probably stop signing up for those classes and really focus on Funimation.
I love mom getting behind that choice.
Yeah.
I went to grad school, and when I took that spot in that program, I said, because I was doing this kind of work at the same time, I said to myself, like, while you're in grad school, you got to go to your classes. Never take one of those jobs, but not go to the class. One regret is they did previews of the Book of Mormon, and I'm just like, sorry, I have class.
No.
It's the one that I think about still to this
Your
day.
priorities at the time, though, you don't realize, like that was one of the best things is the more I did voice acting work and I was, doing other shows around town in Dallas, my theater professor pulled me aside and they were like, we aren't going to cast you in shows here because if you do them here, you're not going to keep going out and doing other things. And you're doing this to become an actor. You are an actor. Go do it. Why are you paying money to be here? So
it's nice to hear people at institutions like that recognize that maybe the other way is the better path for a student. Because I feel like not many people in those positions would say something like that.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, that's so great.
They were pretty great there.
So you brought up before starting there and then making the move to LA. I'm always immensely fascinated by that process, mainly because I feel like when someone's like, I'm going to go to Hollywood and be an actor, you picture something, but then you get here and the experience is totally different. What did you picture and how did it compare to what happened when you got here?
I thought because I had been doing voices in Dallas for so long, I'd been doing it for 5 years at that point, maybe more. And I was, leads in a lot of the shows and I had done a couple video games. I was like, I'm set. I'm going out. I'm going to get work. And I came out and nobody gave a shit. Nobody knew who I was and nobody cared really. And it took a while to start working out here. And I was living in a studio apartment, going through any savings that I had very, very quickly. And thankfully, got a job. This wonderful Jack Fletcher, who is a director out here, he gave me a job. And through that, was able to get my voice agent. And then it just kept. And even then, when I signed on to my voice agent, they sat me down and they're like, we don't know who you are. But because Jack recommended you to us, we're going to sign you. And then the next day I booked a sound alike for Tinkerbell and was working with Disney. And they were like, oh, okay, great. We'll keep sending you out, I guess.
Again, many follow-up questions. First, I'll focus on the idea of getting a voice agent because we talk about getting agents and managers on Collider Ladies Night all the time because I feel like that's something that is not discussed nearly enough. And it's so vital to have the right team around you to not only be successful in this business, but to be fulfilled by it. So I don't know if you're still with the same agent, but what was it about that first agent that maybe made you think this person could help get me work, but also work that will really speak to what I want to do in this business?
I mean, to be honest, at the time, I was just thrilled that anybody was willing to meet with me.
Fair enough.
I met with a couple agents and they didn't sign me right away. And SBV met with me and signed me and I was just over the moon. And they were super respected and still are. And so I was incredibly thankful. And at the time, Becky Dodd, who was my interactive agent for a very long time. She ended up leaving to go work at Naughty Dog after a while. Shocker, Naughty Dog's great too. She really helped me build up my career in the interactive world.
I love that.
Yeah.
So at what point, and I feel like this is such a hard thing because I feel like this is a question that has to be answered and re-answered every single step of the way when you're working in this industry. But what was the first thing you booked that made you stop and say to yourself, I have confidence now. I have a foothold in this industry and it's something that could be a long-term job for me.
Oh, gosh. I'm trying to remember. I feel like I was cocky in Texas and got the role of Blood Rain. That was the first video game I did. And I thought I was hot shit when I got Blood Rain. I was like, oh my gosh, she's the lead of a franchise. This is great. And then again, came out here, nobody cared. But I think when I got Sarah Farron in Final Fantasy XIII, because I'd been such a huge fan of the Final Fantasy franchise for so long that that role and that project really made me go, oh, okay, this is something I can keep doing. That's legitimate, something that I know based on how I experience Final Fantasy, like that other people are probably experiencing it that same way. So it meant a lot.
So interesting to hear this, because all we have is the limited perspective of, like, let's say an IMDb filmography where, like, I see job one and then nonstop things. And it seems to be the same thing with Critical Role's success to me, where it's like, I'll get to this in a minute, but it's where like you started and it was just like an upward trajectory the whole way through. I won't get to that just yet. I wanted to ask about some voice acting techniques before we start focusing on that, because like I love the fact that in this industry as an actor, there's like a million different ways to approach your work, and all of those ways are right as long as they feel right to you.
Exactly.
So I'll give you a big two-part question about that. Can you tell me a particular technique or a way you approach your work that has stayed the same since day one, something consistent, but then also something new you tried recently and for the very first time?
Oh, man. I think from the get-go, I kind of try to not keep myself in my brain when I'm playing a character. If I'm, in the recording booth or on the stage, on the volume for motion capture, I don't have a lot of memories as myself when I'm recording. I think in terms of my character. So I find that makes it a lot easier to, you're just emotionally there, you're emotionally ready for anything that comes at you, because you're not like trying to talk yourself into your own memory of how you would experience this. You're just that person going through their experience.
Does that demand you do a lot of backstory work in order to make, every line you deliver feel whole and like it has history?
Yes, to a point. Sometimes you don't get that opportunity. I loved starting in anime because it gave me such a solid frame of reference for like the emotional connection, because you have the visual, you know what the story is about, you know where it's going. You can watch the entire show or watch the entire scene and then recreate it in your own way. So it's a completely different process, but I think it's such a great way to start in this industry because it gives you that base.
Wait, we didn't get to the back half of the question. What's a new technique that you tried for the first time recently?
I'm trying to think.
I'm surprised I actually remembered to go back to that.
I think lately I've realized, and I don't know how long ago it was, but I realized that you don't have to enunciate everything as a voice actor. When we first start, we think like, oh, I have to speak so clearly and I have to let everybody know exactly what the words say on the page. And it's so much more fun and so much more realistic when you're kind of talking out the side of your mouth sometimes, and when you're muttering through other words. And if you have a really great team, a really great director, they appreciate that and they go with it.
I'll ask a director question then. What is a director you've worked with who has maybe pulled something out of you that you didn't even realize you were capable of going into the project?
A couple. There's a couple. Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, who she is the director on our Critical Role animated series. She's then for a reason. I had worked with her for years prior to our series, and she has a way of finding the emotional depth of a scene, but also the comedy of a scene that I think is unmatched. She can dial in so quickly, and I love her. And then Neil Druckmann is amazing, and working with him on Uncharted 4 and on The Last of Us Part 2, he has so much trust in his actors, and also allows us to be part of the process. So I was very present from day one on The Last of Us, and knowing like where the story was going to go and how we were shaping the character. And he is very good about going like, okay, how do you work as an actor So he knows the kind of direction to give you that will help you get to a moment in a scene. Whereas, some people don't necessarily, they don't change the way they direct based on the person that they're directing. They want to, I'm a very, I keep things to myself. I tend to not want to say, well, my motivation for this moment is to go, is this, or I just want to play through it and feel it. And he realized that very quickly. And he's he would come over and be like, okay, find a way to get angrier. And with other people, he would go and have a long discussion. Troy loves to talk about everything. And so he would have that with him and they would go through everything and he'd come over to me and be like, anger? Okay, great, cool. Yeah, he's by this point, I want it to explode. I'm got it.
What a great
and then be able to
quality.
find that. And it's so wonderful and so fun to get to do, scenes with Troy and know that he's got all of that going on too.
Oh,
and
that's
Troy's a great
such
director
beautiful
as well.
thing.
He directed me on a lot of different projects. And he helped me grow as an actor. And I think I also helped him grow as a director.
I'm trying to remember all of my follow-up questions. Given how you just described that collaboration and the way that Neil will adjust to different actors he's working with, it's making me want to apply a similar way of thinking to scene partners that you get to work with. I don't know how often you're able to be, on a mocap stage with other scene partners or even in a booth, because I feel I don't know, I can't tell if nowadays it's shifting more towards everybody recording by themselves or in groups. I keep hearing one or the other.
It's back and forth. A lot of times with video games, it's solo just because of the way that the system works. It's not always like that. With Last of Us, we got to record in pairs. And I know Tales from the Borderlands, I got to record with Troy and that was awesome. And Erin, I think I got to record with her a couple times. But with cartoons, with animation, it's great to be able to record with other people. And we usually do with Mighty Nein and Legend of Vox Machina, we get to record as a group, which is great.
In that case, maybe I will ask this question and just apply it to that ensemble. Can you tell me which co-star you are the most similar to in terms of the way you work, where it's the second you two started being scene partners, you're we're on the same wavelength, we get each other. But then I also want the opposite, the scene partner with a different approach to the work who maybe challenges you to adapt and try something new and for the better.
That's 100% Troy. The opposite. He works completely different than me, but we've worked together so many times that we understand each other's process and enjoy each other's process so much. So yeah, we've both grown through that. I think similarity-wise, I think is probably Ashley Johnson. Just not even on just the stage, but also in the recording booth. I love whenever we're recording Mighty Nein, I stand next to her, and we have just a very similar way of working.
I'm so excited to dig into it. But first I need to go back to the beginning of Critical Role. I'm so fascinated by how you all do what you do. I feel like I could talk about it all day long. I'll begin with I guess the beginning of the process, but as it pertains to you as an individual. I was reading a little bit about how it all started with a thing for Liam's birthday, and then it became a more established thing. When it started to become a more established thing, do you remember the very first moment when you did something and stopped and thought to yourself, this is creatively fulfilling for me, and this is something I can continue doing for a long time?
Oh, man. I mean, I got creative fulfillment from it even before we brought it to cameras. Playing tabletop RPGs is so creatively exciting because you get to dive into characters that you probably haven't been cast as. I mean, as an actor, this is why it's enjoyable. And you get to really dive into every aspect of their personality, see how they would react in all of these different situations. And it's done nothing but make me a better actor. And it has definitely made me find my emotional connection to things much faster. I can, in any project that I work on now, I can find that beat much quicker.
As you explain that, I feel like that should be like part of the rehearsal process for literally every live action opportunity.
Right?
So like, what better way to
go out and be that character, just role play for a while. It's great.
To the fullest too. I love that. The other part I wanted to look at with you is, I guess I'll call it the business side of it. So you have Critical Role start, it is taking off, but you're also a very experienced voice actor who is also moving forward in that space as well. Like, what was it like for you, I guess, making sure that you could balance everything and give yourself fully to all those different lanes?
It's incredibly hard. When we were still at Geek and Sundry, when we were in the early days, we would go, and for a long time after, we went live at 7:00. And a lot of us were still working, very heavily in other projects. And I would be shooting mocap. There was the time when I was pregnant. So that was 7 years ago. We were doing mocap for Gears of War. We were doing mocap for Last of Us, and working on Spider-Man. And so my mocap schedule was incredibly busy. And then we were doing the recording sessions for all those things outside of just the mocap. And they were usually across town. So it was like an hour away. And so we would film all day in a fabulous suit with dots all over our face, and then speed across town as fast as I could get there to be at the table for the 7:00 start. And usually it would be like park, run in, sit down, and then we would go. So it was chaos mentally for a while there. I think now that we've shifted from doing the live thing, we can shift our schedules around a lot easier now, and there's less stress. But yeah, it's hard because not only do we do the stream and we do the animated series and all of the other things, but I also help run the merchandise for Critical Role, and so that's a desk job. That's a be in front of my computer answering emails as much as possible as well. So that's a tough balance.
That, and you are all also so active at conventions too. That was the first time I ever saw anything like the slightest bit Critical Role related. It was, I think, MegaCon in 2023. I was there moderating other things, and all I did was side glance, catch crowds waiting for you. I'm like, who is that? My God, they're so animated, enthusiastic, and then immediately went down the rabbit hole of exploring what you're all about.
Amazing.
And it's an incredible vibe. I'll lean into that briefly, actually. Do you remember the very first time that you realized your work in Critical Role mattered to people? It wasn't just a form of entertainment or escape, but it was something that was really impacting people's lives for the better.
Right. I'm trying to think when we first started going to cons after Critical Role, there is something incredibly different about seeing cosplay of a character that you created. And I'd seen cosplay before, and I love it. I love any character that I voiced. I love seeing the cosplay. But suddenly seeing people dressed as Vex'ahlia was just mind-blowing to me, because in that moment I realized that it was equal in fandom to the other projects that I've been building my career on. And gosh, yeah, the critters have just been unbelievable. I remember when we did our live show at Wembley, and it was the biggest audience we'd ever had by a long shot. It was, and we walked out on stage, and the wave of sound, just the wall that hit of sound was, I will never forget it. It was instant tears of feeling like that it mattered to that many people.
It's the coolest thing ever.
It was awesome. It was awesome.
I love how I'm going to that from that wholesome memory back to businessy stuff. Yeah. So Critical Role is soaring. Like I said earlier in the conversation, what you guys are doing over there is it's so one of a kind, and it's operating in an industry that has a habit of boxing artists into one thing. So I'm so curious to hear a little bit about how your Critical Role success maybe impacted your acting success. Did it open the door to any other opportunities, or is it a situation where those executives, those people can't even fully grasp the creativity that you're pursuing in that lane?
It's funny. I stutter over myself as I try to find it. I go to recording sessions, and 9 times out of 10, somebody in the room watches Critical Role. And that's so cool. I think it's a fun thing to watch for people in a creative space, right? Yeah, and we're all nerds working on games. Like, everybody's a big nerd, so it makes sense that it would make the rounds. But it is strange that anybody, would know what I do in that world. I guess now it's become more normal, but when it first started hitting, it was like, oh wow, you know that character? Oh, very, very cool.
Like it's so normal and all over the place, and I have to imagine it's inspiring in so many different respects too. Like I feel like it is contributing to like reshaping how we pursue what we want to do in this industry, if that makes sense.
That you can form. I know there's a lot of other voice actors out there that have started doing like actual plays because of it, and I think that's great. That like make your own way and find your creative outlets outside of. We always hear as an actor you have to make your own work if you want it, and that's what we're doing. We didn't go in with the intention of doing that, but that is what ended up being the case.
It's especially important now because that feels more necessary now than it ever has.
Yeah.
For better or worse, but I feel like
times have changed in this industry for sure.
The more artists that follow in your footsteps, I think people will be better off.
Yeah, I agree.
So now kind of bridging the gap from Critical Role to all the success you are having with your shows at Prime Video. I guess I'll try to phrase the question this way. Like, when you were at a tipping point with Critical Role where like you had so much success and kind of realized that you were all ready to make that next big leap, initially, what did making that kind of leap look like, and how does that compare to the shows that you're now making at Prime Video?
Man, it all comes down to, honestly, I think it was Travis having the drive and the desire. He just had a vision that I don't think I didn't see that it could be what it is. And he's always been just the driving force in pushing the company forward. And thank goodness, And then he wanted, and Sam wanted, and we all wanted, but they really were the spearhead on it. They went out and they were pitching the show. They were trying to tell studios what it was that we were trying to get made, and nobody quite understood it because really we were trying to sell like a bunch of people sitting around a table. And so a lot of people would ask, like, I don't understand, are you going to cut to you guys at the table? Are you going to try to animate you guys at the table? Are you going to show the dice being rolled? I don't understand. And we were like, no, it's just a story. It's just a story. It doesn't have to be at the table, but nobody was really buying it. And so when they made the decision to open it up to crowdfunding and say, like, the fans will understand. Like, you guys understand what this can be more than a lot of other people, because I think a lot of times studios want to bank on what is already successful, right? What they've already seen is going to make money. And so it's a risk. It's a very strange concept of what we were trying to do. And but the critters turned up. The critters are amazing. And just blew us out of the water. I just, just jaws on the floor 24/7 while that fundraiser was going on, while the crowdfunding was happening. And as soon as that was successful, that's when, people came and said, oh, okay, now we understand there's worth here, or there could be fun things to happen. And Amazon, when they came to us, they were such an amazing partner because they really did believe in allowing us to have the creative control to continue to, they had faith really that we would know what we were wanting to do with it.
Prime Video knows what they're doing in that respect.
I feel like Prime Video is like nerd space. They get it.
One of the guests that I had in here right before you was Vivian Medrano, who's working on Has Been Hotel. And like,
yes,
creative control, like an absolutely bonkers idea that, studios believe in, and then give creative control, and then it lets a thing soar.
And I think that is what makes it soar, because when you have the diversity of thought that different creators bring, you do get something unique. And I think fan bases appreciate that, to see something new, to see something exciting.
Something new and something exciting. The other thing that just wows me about what you've all done with Vox Machina and now Mighty Nein is the fact that like you're dishing out story that appeases your hardcore fan base. Like it seems to make critters very happy, but it also operates as an on-ramp for people who have no idea what these campaigns were to begin with. Like
that's the goal.
I talk about that with film franchises in particular all the time because it does feel like more often than not, unfortunately, with each new installment of a film franchise, the story is like narrowing the viewership more and more, whereas shouldn't it be the exact opposite?
Yeah,
which is
hard to onboard after like there's all that history, right? And we were aware of that. We know that our campaigns are long and run. The episodes are our commitment. So it was really important to us all to make sure that the story was fun and inviting for people that if they had no idea what Critical Role was. That's the ultimate. If you have no idea any history with our company and you just tune into the Mighty Nein and it's a cool show, that you want to know more about. Great.
So incredibly well done in that respect. All right, I'll start to dig into the transition from Vox Machina to Mighty Nein. First, I'll just simply ask, were there any campaign adaptations, lessons learned making Vox Machina that you were all able to apply to Mighty Nein to make it the show that it is?
I think it made us, yes. I think with Vox Machina, we really wanted to stay incredibly true to the campaign. And I think we've done a pretty great job at that. Like a few things changed because they had to, but we wanted it. Some of it is like one for one, like the dialogue is really close. And we had so many moments when all of us, we were in the writer's room together and we would throw out our important moments within the campaign and saying like, if we lose this, I will be personally sad, and if we have this, I will be very joyful. So let's find the mix. So we did that. And then I think just after multiple seasons of Vox Machina, I think we all just kind of trusted ourselves and our partners at Titmouse. They are phenomenal.
What they're doing.
Oh, they're so
next level stuff.
And we just had like, a better dialogue, like shorthand with them. So they knew exactly what to do with the Mighty Nein. And we've learned to trust ourselves a lot more too. So when it came time to look at the actual campaign of the Mighty Nein and go, our story kind of jumped around a lot. And, we went from this location to this location, to this location in a very short amount of time. And it doesn't necessarily make sense if you're laying it out in a streamlined story. Like, how can we shift this to make it make the most sense and have it be even more meaningful with like little moments?
I have so many follow-ups again. First, I'll ask, what is, and obviously we can only talk about season 1, but what is something from the original campaign that made you go like, I will be personally offended if that's not included in season 1?
I would have been very sad if there were no dicks. Because, like, look, I know that's cheesy to say, but, like, so much of Jester's, like, joy and her personality is from, like, these stupid little things that she does. And if we weren't able to showcase that, I would have been a little sad about it. I would have understood. But that's what's great. Like, Amazon's been so wonderful. They're like, yeah, bring the dick. It's fine. Yeah, you want a funny little flying dick? Do it. So
Amazon just said, bring the dicks.
Bring the dick.
That's my takeaway. That's my takeaway from this conversation. Wait, I had another.
I'm sorry.
I had another follow-up. Because you were mentioning having moments where you guys were able to kind of workshop what you did in the campaign and decide, like, this needs a little ironing out to best suit the animated series format. Can you give me a specific example of that? Something that had to be ironed out that we can see in season 1?
I'm trying to think. I think just, like, showing the machinations of the Empire behind the scenes. All of the things that we had no idea that were happening that Matt knew about. In our campaign, we had so much story before we even learned about them. And it's so much more meaningful to see it from the beginning and to see Essek and to see Trent and to see what they're working on and understand that ultimately is what the Mighty Nein is up against, right? Even if we don't realize it yet, that is coming to a head eventually.
Hearing you name everything too, like again, as a newcomer, one of the things that impressed me most about Vox Machina and now also Mighty Nein is just like how quickly I fell into step with everything and how I was able to remember like more complicated names and places and everybody's intentions.
How long did it take you? How long did it take you before you were like, I get it. I understand the story that's happening.
I had a little bit of a cheat because one of my good friends moderated your New York Comic-Con panel, so I made sure to go to the panel and I did that interview. So I had brushed up a little bit, but I guess for that Comic-Con interview, I had watched 2 episodes, I think, and I felt like I had my footing way more than I had expected to by
Wow, that's
then.
great.
Yeah, it's like really a special achievement to be able to do that, especially nowadays when there's so much competing content out there. And it's like, you know, you want to play the long game and make a great full season arc. But if you don't hook someone and make someone feel invested in the main players right out the gate, then it's like, what are you doing?
Honestly, why we made the decision to add like the opening credits. Originally, there were no opening credits for the Mighty Nein. It was just the Mighty Nein, and then it would go to the show. And we realized because we have the first 3 episodes happening the way they do, if you immediately jump into episode 2 without understanding, if you hadn't come at it from the campaign, like who these characters are going to be and who even is going to be important in the story, it's very jarring to go, who is this Ford guy? Who is this blue girl? You know, so we wanted to have the opening credits that show these are going to be the players. These are going to be the people that are important to the story.
You know what actually took me the longest time to catch up on, and I think it's actually a compliment to all of you, having watched Vox Machina and knowing who you all voice in that. I think the thing I had the hardest time with was figuring out who voiced who, like right out the gate, so I knew my stuff during that interview.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks to your range. Actually, I didn't ask this question, so I'll bring it back now because like I do a lot of internet stalking to prepare for these interviews, and so I was watching some you had done, and I was looking at the comments, and a lot of your fans are always emphasizing how wowed they are by your range. So that made me want to know, is there a single role that maybe tested your range the most where you doubted yourself but were able to push yourself to do something new?
This is like bringing it back along. You know, here's the thing. From the start, my first role I ever did was Kid Trunks. So, like, he's a little boy, you know? And I think because I started as him, it kind of makes you realize, I can shift it. And also, luckily, because I started as him, Funimation didn't like pigeonhole me into a specific voice type so I got to really play around with my range right from the beginning. So that was really fun. But I think the hardest one was there was a show called Shin-Chan. And his voice, like his Japanese voice, he's a little like 5-year-old boy, which is hilarious now that I have a son to see the similarities because they are there. I described it, he sounded like he had a potato stuck in his throat because it was just like, I opened up his mouth. And it was so weird to get used to the sound of it. But after, I don't know a couple seasons of it doing it, it was second nature and really funny to talk as him.
It's incredible.
Again, that's a character with very little filter. I really enjoy characters that have...
That's the through line.
Yes.
Very little filter. It's incredible hearing you do that at the snap of a finger, where like I've been in situations where like all I'm doing are like, I don't know, podcast ad reads, and someone's like bring your voice up a little instead of down at the end. And like I've like physically become incapable of changing the way I've said something. And like my brain can't compute how I physically like need
Shift
to adjust to make that sound come out a different way.
That still happens to me sometimes. They're like, can you make it a question? And I'm like, hold on.
That's the thing.
Let me figure out what you mean by that. Yeah.
I'll get like, make it not sound like a question and make it sound like you really believe in like the statement you're making. And I'm like, how does voice do that? One more question about making the transition from Vox Machina to Mighty Nein. And I don't know if you like to have this kind of stuff on hand, but I'm always curious about what voice actors need to have in the booth with them. And I was wondering if what you needed to have with you for Vex versus Jester is different.
Oh, I don't know if there's anything specific that I need differently, but my energy coming into it is very different. Vex is so serious and dramatic and thoughtful, and she's just so powerful. You know, she knows exactly what she wants and how to get it. And it's like the stance, your posture is different. With Jester, I find that I'm a little more distracted in a recording session because when you're recording as her, like you just like I don't even remember looking at my dialogue. It's because like half the time I don't think I said what is actually on the page. It just comes out as it comes out. And yeah, it's just it's such a fun time. And it's funny because as a whole, I think the Mighty Nein is a much grittier, darker series. But my experience personally has been the absolute reverse of that.
I can understand that. We're going to get into some of my specific questions. There are certain moments where I think you blend the two in a really effective way. We'll get to some of that. So at this point, I'm going to put up the spoiler warning for the season in its entirety, just so you can answer everything freely. But I do have a little roadmap here. And the question I wanted to start with was episode 4, because you are the one who gets to say the show title. And
yes.
Like that always feels real hard to me. So I guess what was it like delivering that in a way where like it meant something and it gave people chills versus, let's say, someone rolling their eyes at the fact that like the show title was just announced in the show?
I think because we were so like tongue in cheek with it, it wasn't, I'm just saying it. It was, I'm announcing it. It made it different. I think we have so many moments within the show that are also just like little throwbacks, like that are actual quotes from the campaign.
Mm-hmm. So in the campaign, is Jester the one that like says
the
it?
Mighty Nein? No,
because I can't view that line in anybody else's hand in the animated series.
In the series, I'm pretty sure it was Caleb.
Says it before you?
Yeah, we are the Mighty Nein. I think he said
she introduces you all as like we are the Mighty Nein to someone at a gate.
Yeah,
and I'm like, this just feels right to me.
Yeah, she's definitely the one that would be going around naming them for sure.
So here's where I get into some of that like blending I was talking about. This happens in episode 4 also. It's the first moment that like she seems like down and scared to me. It's when she says, I don't think I'm having fun anymore. Can you tell me a little bit about finding the right tone to that line where like it still feels like the same character, but it also feels like this is a big moment where something is going to shift?
Well, yeah. I mean, Jester, up until that point, you know, she's had a very sheltered life. Even though she's seen a lot more than probably a lot of other people in terms of some things, she hasn't left her home. She hasn't been out in the world. She hasn't experienced interactions in any way that hasn't been protected from her, right? And I think in that moment, it was the realization that this is really hard. I miss home. I am grieving the loss of what I had. And is it always like this, you know? So, and we, you know, she finds it, again, she finds joy in a lot of things. But I think that moment was kind of a big growing up point for her.
I feel for all them when something bad or scary happens, but her in particular, when that happens, I'm like, oh, like my heart actually hurts.
Yeah.
She's got more light, it feels like, than anyone. So whenever I see that light dimmed in the show,
it's painful.
Oh, it makes me, when it dims or when she gets angry. So I'll jump to episode 7 from there when she calls out for the traveler doesn't come. And then she has that moment where she says, I'm not crazy and I'll prove it. And it's like a little bit of like a rage-fueled moment there. Yeah. So what was it like figuring out that needed to tap into like, you know, like a sense of like uncontrolled rage versus maybe just like being bummed that he hasn't come?
Oh, gosh, no. I mean, he's been her whole world. He's been her only friend since... Oh, this is spoilers. I shouldn't say any of this stuff. I just realized.
Beyond?
This
This is what editing is for.
Right? Wait a minute. How far can I go here? No, she's relied on him for so long.
Mhm.
And I think she felt so abandoned. And I think just to have a little pout about it and a little like, to be bummed about it doesn't make any sense for everything that they have been through as a group to this point. You know, she needs him. She needs that support. And he's abandoned her in this moment. And there is rage there.
It's a very well-earned build.
Yeah.
Because she has a lot of moments where she needs to react to the traveler not being there, and it's nice to go back and to kind of see it ramp up, up and up to a moment like that with more rage in it, and rage that's like well-earned at that point.
Well, Jester is very quick to forgive. She
is.
will always make excuses for somebody and see the best in them. So I think finally in that moment of him not being there and not being there and not being there and all the like the really hard stuff that they've been through, yeah.
There's nothing I love more in this show than moments where, like, it's more often than not her, but some of the other characters do it where, like, they just choose to see the best in people.
That's great.
It really makes, I need shows that have moments like that.
Yeah. But that's what makes the payoff in episode 8 so wonderful when he finally does show up and you're like,
I'll ask about that too, because what are some maybe voice acting nuances you want to do to show that maybe she carries herself a little differently when he finally does show up? Like something about how her interactions and conversations with the traveler differ from any other conversation she's had.
I think there's an intimacy there that she doesn't have with anybody else quite yet, because she has grown up with him and she has relied on him. He gave her powers, you know? So there's just the familiarity. I wanted it to be present right away. And I wanted the audience to feel the relief and maybe the surprise. I mean, as a viewer, like, what did you think? Did you think the traveler was real?
Well, that was something I hadn't looked up. And I was teetering the entire time, but I don't know. It's like a hard thing to put into words, but there's certain ways that she talks about him that I knew the weight of who she was talking about was like maybe a little grander than something that could have just been brushed off as not real all along. I don't know if that makes sense.
Oh, good. No, that makes me glad.
It felt right when it felt like it was supposed to happen. And also the moment felt really well earned. And I did have the reaction that you just described where like when he finally showed up, like I just think I felt so happy for her.
Oh, good.
I felt so happy for her. As we start to wind down here, I will ask you a question that kind of teeters into the future of the show. At the end of season 1 of the Mighty Nein, what do you think Jester's greatest strength is? Like a new skill she has gained that will make her a stronger contributor to the group and the fight they're in the middle of, but then also what is her greatest weakness at this point? Something that she needs to improve in order to be a stronger member of the Mighty Nein.
Man. I think she's learning a lot from Molly. You know, Jester's always been one that likes to help people and likes to bring happiness to others. But Molly is a character that can give support. Like he builds people up in not just a way that, I'm going to make them laugh. I'm going to make you understand yourself better and I'm going to make you more powerful because of it. I'm going to make you stronger because of it.
Go be you. I wrote that line down. I'm like, we need more people in the world who will just tell the folks around them, like, go be you.
Yeah. It's so wonderful.
It is wonderful.
And I think she's seeing that. And I think it's helping her understand that she can do maybe the same thing. And it's not just about seeing the best in people. It's helping them see the best in themselves.
Okay.
And her weakness.
Yeah. The next step she needs to take to grow even more.
Oh, man. Stop doubting herself. I think Jester's growing up through her experiences. It's funny because I know she comes across as very youthful. But I've talked about it before. She has a very strong case of arrested development. You know, she's been so sheltered by her mother that she hasn't had to grow up. And I think being out in the world now and really going through it with everything that the Mighty Nein is bringing is helping her come to terms with herself.
I can't wait to see her grow more and more.
Yeah.
We've hit the last question of Collider Ladies Night. Every single interview ends with this particular question. I love how in film and television, we give each other awards. I think we should keep doing it. That's great. But I find that nobody stops to tell themselves good job as much as they should. So I want to know something you accomplished making the Mighty Nein Season 1 that you know you're always going to be able to look back on and say, I am so proud of what I did there.
It's cheesy to say, I'm just so proud that we did it. I mean, it's ours, you know? And I think we didn't cut any corners, you know? I think when we saw something that needed to be done on it and that we wanted to happen on it, we made it happen. And I think really sticking to our guns on the story and really sticking to our guns on just like even going through and watching each iteration, like watching Travis watch the episodes and give notes on everything. I'm really proud of him. I'm really proud of the process.
I don't blame you. You should be. Hearing you just now say it's ours, like that gave me chills because that's a special thing to achieve in this industry, and it's very well deserved for all of you. So I'm going to say huge congratulations on everything you've accomplished on the Mighty Nein Season 1 and everything coming your way in the future.
Thank you so much.
Come back. Have more ladies'
I
night
would
chats
love
with
to.
me.
I'm gonna bring some other girls with me next time.
Yeah, please do. We should do a group one at some point.
Ooh, yeah.